Hey, love the new music. Welcome into episode 18 of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. Stacey playing mixer here. Doing some great work there.
Hey, listen, you know what? I didn't pick this tune out. I normally would have picked something like the Tupac or Biggie or something like that. So Stinger
with
Stinger
the credit.
is the one who
That's some nice stuff, John. I like the music.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. I'm just mixing the mic here. Just doing a little mixing on the side.
Forget about Shaq. We got the Stinger.
The Stinger.
The Stinger on the mixer. That's some pretty good work there. I want to start out with the props. First of all, I want to thank our great sponsors at Bubble Up. It is the cloud reimagined. Bubble Up, the new way to visually organize any kind of content all in one place. And hey, we want to welcome everybody on YouTube. This is our debut episode on YouTube. We're very excited because I know, Stacey, you said a lot of your friends, your listeners are saying, I want to see the reaction when you're telling these great stories.
Yeah. I've been looking forward to it. This is something that we've all talked about eventually getting to. But first, you got to have a foundation. And the podcast has been really, really good. We've got a lot of great responses. And special shout out to everyone who's subscribed or listened to any episode. It's really cool that we have so many people. You know, we went from having small numbers to we're approaching 10,000 listeners now, which is awesome. We haven't been at this long. We were amateurs when we started.
It's not looking John.
Yeah, look at John. He's mixing
on the audio board, doing great work.
Yeah, he's sometimes.
I just want to say good day, mate, to our down under. We have 373 or something listeners.
Worldwide audience.
Yeah, shrimp on the Barbie.
Yeah, our guy Al Foran helped us in Great Britain. So that is increased as well.
We've got Ireland. We've got, where else are we big at overseas? We've got a lot of places.
Home of Lowry Marketing.
All the Finns, baby. A lot of finisher.
So we appreciate all the listeners out there.
Love you all.
We are going to continue to improve the show as we go along, and we're excited about the future and how this is going to grow. And the next step, of course, was going to YouTube. And I hope you've been enjoying Stacey's clips that he's been posting, our best of Gimme the Hot Sauce and the Bubble Up roll. I mean, we're having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have fun doing this show every week. I be honest with you, I love coming here to the Knotless Studios, baby, and hanging out with my boys and my girl, Southside Susan. And we just have a blast. I really look forward to coming every week, and we're having so much fun doing this.
Of course, you can find Gimme the Hot Sauce on all the major podcast carriers, Spotify, Apple, iTunes. We've got a new association with Podbean that we're really excited about to help us grow the audience. So you can go to Podbean, find all the episodes of Gimme the Hot Sauce. And coming up on today's show, we have a special guest in our next segment. It's going to be the longtime Bulls beat reporter, Nick Friedell, who's kind of polarized the Bulls fan base. Some people think he's been a little bit critical about the Bulls, but you know what? He covered them for a long time in the Tibbs era. And then, of course, the Fred Hoiberg era came in and things changed pretty rapidly.
Listen, he is one of the best guys out there when it comes to NBA knowledge. So, I understand, Bulls fans got a little bit upset with him because he has a job to do. He can't be a homer and, you got to give him a break here and there. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be objective. He's going to speak highly when they do well. And then when they're not playing well, it's his job to also say that too. So I'm a big fan of Nick's, always has. He's a good friend of mine. So I'm really excited about him coming on the show today.
As we tape the show on a Wednesday afternoon, the Bulls have lost their last two games. And both Stacey and Stinger have seen the Denver Nuggets up close and personal the last couple of days. Nikola Jokic is really trying to improve his MVP candidacy because most people are saying Joel Embiid and LeBron, but I know that you feel pretty strong on
No, not improved. He is the MVP.
Yeah, but his team's record's not that good.
I don't care. I mean, he is the MVP.
The voters care, though.
No, well,
the voters. No one cares what you think.
Well, they will when I'm right on this one because remember,
draw a line in the sand.
Remember, the top of the West is filthy. The top of the West is filthy, with Utah, Denver, the Clippers, the Lakers. But I'm going to tell you, after watching and talking with King the night that he completely demolished the Bulls and what he did. Yeah. And I like to see more of that telestration stuff, Stacey, where you were, so acute on showing the double and seeing how dangerous he is when he gets doubled.
They couldn't get the squirrels running fast enough. Stacey was calling for it, but they couldn't get it up.
And then
exactly.
And then last night,
there's technical issues on the telestration out there, buddy.
I didn't want to bring this in.
I can only do so much.
Yeah. I didn't want to bring this in so early, but I'm just going to drop this right here, okay? 50 career double-doubles in 416 games. There's only one other center that has 50 career triple doubles, and it is
Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain.
And how many games did Wilt do it in?
I couldn't tell you.
You got to check the folder.
Well, you know why?
You got to check the
folder. You know why? Because
in the
he didn't pass the ball till like his 15th season in the league.
First of all, there's like a million things in the bubble up folder. So maybe if you would tell us where it actually is, then
you can organize it. You know,
organize it. Just put it in categories there, buddy. Don't just put 1,000 things in there and say go find it.
I'll get my best person on it. But hey, here's the deal: 713 games.
Yeah,
713 games for Wilt to get to 50 career triple doubles. It took the Joker 400.
Yeah, the Joker was no joke the other night at the United Center, Stacey. I'll tell you what, Wendell Carter did the best he could, but he is undersized. He got overpowered by that big man inside.
Listen, it was Gulliver's Travels, the land of the Lilliputians.
That's right.
That's all I'm going to say. He was a giant going against little people, okay? Yep. Listen, I thought Embiid was big, and Embiid is very big, and he manhandled the Bulls too. He's manhandled everybody. But this kid is a little bit different because the fact that, not only can he post up and go to work on you in the post, he brings the ball up the floor like a guard. I mean, they hand him the ball and say, get us in our play, and you watch how he passes the ball. He's never in a hurry. He's not the most athletically gifted person. Like I said, if you had a pickup game, he would be the last guy picked on the pickup game. People would be laughing at him when he came into the gym. But if you got him on your team, you're never losing the whole day. There are going to be people mad saying, how in the hell did we lose to this bad body dad out here? That's what they'd be saying about Joker. But yeah, exactly. But at the same time, he's highly skilled. He understands the game, his basketball IQ, and his teammates understand, like, when they cut hard, he's going to get the ball. Yeah. He knows where the three-point shooters are. Both him and Murray just have this rapport with one another. Like, they just get it. They understand each other. They're on sync with one another, the point guard and your big man. And when you have that, man, and if they can find a third or fourth guy, I still think at the end of the day, they're going to be a team in the Western Conference Finals. They're going to move up the standings. I just don't see anybody that can match up with them other than the Lakers.
Billy Donovan, one of the things I really like about him, he's very refreshing with his post-game and pre-game news conferences. He admitted afterwards, he was asked about, why didn't you double team Jokic? And he goes, well, the guy passes so well. Denver's got three-point shooters. They got guys cutting weak side. If you send double team help, he's just going to spot the open guy for a three-point shot or a layup or dunk. And it's a challenge that everyone faces because, as Stinger found out the next night when they just routed Milwaukee, it's not easy to defend this guy because he is so versatile.
Well, there are certain things you can do defensively against him to just try to upset the timing and the rhythm of what they do. One of the things I said, I know against the Bulls, for instance, they were allowing him to bring the ball up the floor like a guard. And he would walk up the floor with the ball right down the middle of the floor like he was the point guard. Those are areas where you tell your center, which is athletic Wendell Carter Jr., get up and work him. Get up and turn him. Make him have to dribble with duress and have to get rid of the ball earlier because he's not under any kind of pressure bringing the ball up the floor. He's just walk. That's his rest time. I'm going to walk up, 6 seconds, 7 seconds. I'm going to walk up the floor and then get us in our offense. But if you're putting pressure on him, those type of situations, and then defensively too, Mark, you don't necessarily have to double him from the same place. You can double him from baseline. You can come from the high. When he puts the ball on the floor, 2 dribbles, come get him, But where the problem is with teams is their inability when he does have the post is to be able to rotate where they're supposed to rotate to, understanding who you're running out to and who you can let shoot a three and who you can't let shoot threes.
I just think it's interesting what King's saying because it's making adjustments. And I've got to tell you, from the other side of it, the Bucks came in, they'd won 5 in a row. They beat the Clippers. Giannis was out of his mind in that game, and he was getting the ball late, and they were finding him. The start of that game, Malone decided to let him dunk. He had like 7 dunks. We were like, what's the record for dunks? Because he was just dunking the ball. But all of a sudden, they brought the wall in, and they couldn't really make the adjustment to the wall. And then I think, it confused some of the Bucks players. But like what Stacey was saying last night, what Jokic is doing is like, all right, come out and try to guard me. He was shooting a lot of those fadeaway.
Well, they thought Brook Lopez could stay with him.
Yeah, he can. That's the thing. He can shoot that. It's like he's a 7-footer.
Jokic is slow. but Lopez is slower. So there's no way in the world that matchup, because what happens is that you have to honor his 3-point shooting. That's you can't just say, oh, let him have that shot. We're going to take something away. Let's take away his post game, but let's give him the 3-point shot. No, you can't do that, because he's shooting close to 38-40% from the 3-point line.
One thing we talked about Embiid getting the 50 burger. We talk about Jokic. Now tonight you got Zion. As we're taping,
he's been playing so great.
And I think he's number 1 or 2 in paint points. And like Stacey has said, when he gets the ball going downhill, how are the Bulls going to counter, and what are they going to do tonight to stop that?
Nobody's been able to.
Well, I mean, listen, great players, you're not going to be able to stop them completely. But what you can do is try to do things to slow them down, give them different looks. One thing about Zion is that if he gets the ball in the post, it's quick moves. It's very decisive moves. He doesn't sit there and go, hold the ball. Let me think about what I'm going to do here. He's gone. And so you've got to try to 3/4 the post a little bit. You've got to try to give him different looks. You got to meet him before he comes down and gets set in the offense. And then you got to make star players play defense. You cannot have guys out there who are not going to go back at him offensively to make him have to guard people. If he's out there, for instance, he's guarding someone, let's say, like a Felicio, just using him as an example. He's not going to guard Felicio. He's going to double the ball. He's going to help off on other people. He's not worried about Felicio. But a guy like, Thaddeus Young, he has to guard, because Thaddeus will take him inside and go to work on him.
I was going to say, if Felicia's on the court, we got all kinds of problems.
Yeah. Wow, Mark. Man, Tyson's biting the earlobe.
Somebody was asking me a question about defending Jokic the other day, and I went through the 3 sentences. I said, well, Gafford's out of the rotation, and Luke Kornet, he's 7 feet, but he's not strong enough to hold position. I said, Felicio, he's got a nice contract.
Wow.
Mark, you let your hair down. Don't
Mark's got a cut today.
I think he's Tyson a little.
Yeah, Tyson's over there biting earlobe.
Hey, John, the one dangerous thing about being on YouTube now is people are going to see your day drinking.
Well, it is
documented.
First of all, as Arnold Schwarzenegger says, I drink better. It's a man's drink. And second of all, it is March, and when you're Irish like Tim and
I'm his sponsor.
It's okay. We celebrate the whole month.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Mark for throwing you under the bus. No one even saw that.
No, he did it earlier. I didn't mention it when it was going on.
Way to get him, Mark.
He took a big swig earlier in the show. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're not missing anything.
Southside Susan wasn't even paying attention.
Well, she's going to drive back.
Because normally he only gets half a beer. So she wasn't even paying attention. So he slipped a bottle in, and you told on him, way to go, Mark. Way to go. Just stab him in the shower scene, baby.
It's amazing what a haircut can do, huh?
The camera catches all when he takes a big swig on camera. What are you going to do? I mean, it happens.
He's going to go under the table, just like he's doing right now.
Hey, let's get back to the Bulls. Arturas Karnisovas met the media for the first time since preseason the other night before the Nuggets game. People wanted to talk to him because he was facing his old squad. I didn't think he said anything particularly newsworthy. He said that the trade market, which the deadline is March 25th, is going to be different this year because so many teams think they're still in it. So it's going to be kind of a seller's market. I think the Bulls will use these next couple of weeks to see how they do with the 1-loss record, where they stand in the playoffs, and probably act accordingly, Stacey.
Well, right now the big trade piece is Thaddeus Young.
Right.
He's the second most sought after person behind Bradley Beal that you hear a lot of the GMs are talking about. But he's playing so well for the Bulls. It's like, that is like, he might be a long-term fit here with the way he's playing. And he's a great guy. And this is, I think people look at this year as being like a shock. Like, we didn't know Thaddeus Young could do this. But if you go back and you look at Thaddeus' career, he's been a starter his whole career. He's been a big-time player his whole career. But he's played in smaller markets. He's in Indiana. He was in Minnesota. He started off in Philadelphia, where he's a key piece on those teams. But he's a heck of a player. And, it'd be tough for the Bulls to part ways with him. But, if you get something in return that's worth your while, and especially if they look at their team not being where it needs to be, because you got to remember, they only brought, AK and Mark, their only 2 players they've got here is Patrick Williams and Garrett Temple.
Right.
Those are the only 2 guys.
Yep.
The rest of these guys were from other situations, other general managers, traded through here. But so I don't know if they're as loyal to everybody, as you would think. And Susan, what are you doing? I thought it was an assassination attempt.
The camera catches all.
Yeah. I think Susan forgot we were on YouTube. She's like moving around the room like we're just doing a podcast.
Sound out of your iPad.
Okay. So I was getting ready to get the pepper spray.
Quality control.
I was getting ready to get the pepper. I thought it was an assassination attempt. I'm over here talking. I'm like, who let this person in the room? Security.
Do you really need pepper spray for
Hey,
Southside?
listen. Now listen. Yeah, listen. I didn't know it was Southside. Okay, she just snuck up behind me. I didn't know. She got out of the rear view mirror. I didn't have one on, so I didn't see her. I just saw a shadow of a person coming. So
She only had one arm.
wow. No.
That again.
Okay. Well, what episode was the one arm? What episode was the one arm?
The one-arm playground
I
fight.
think that was
Yeah.
episode 5.
It was episode
So you want
5.
to check that out. That was a great story.
You guys want to check? He brought up something from episode 5.
Growing up 70s.
When growing up 70s, when I was a child in kindergarten, I got jumped
The
by
one
a girl.
time you got
the one time I lost a fight. I'm 100-0-1. And I don't really count that one as a loss because my mom always taught me not to hit girls. And she had one arm. So you got to go to episode 5 to hear that whole
Check
story.
that out.
But Tim, even whispers, he doesn't say much. But when he says something, it's impactful. So that was an impactful statement. Whispers like that. Whispers. I like that.
Hey, Stacey, the other thing that I got from Arturis was it sounds like he is very intrigued by what potential Lauri Markkanen has. He was asked about Markkanen and possible contract extension, possible trade. And he goes, he's met expectations. Before he got hurt, he was averaging 19 points a game, shooting 50% from the field, 40% from the 3-point line. It sounds like that's a guy that they would like to keep if they can get the business of basketball, the contract work.
I'm going to tell you what, you got to be careful if you're Bulls fans and you want to give up on Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't find anyone at the collegiate level that can do what he does right now. You don't have 7-footers out there that can score, post up, pass, shoot it. So you got to be careful when you say because he's not playing. It's not like he does not want to play. He's had injuries. He's had some bad luck. And I know sometimes fans get very frustrated, but when he's on, like he was having a heck of a season. Like this is a contract year for him. So before he got hurt, he was putting up some really good numbers. And lo and behold, comes back, gets hurt again. I don't know how close he is to coming back, but I still believe, honestly, and I've said this since he's been here, he's a key piece for this team going forward, his future. Because he's young, he's 7 feet, he can shoot the ball. He's a unicorn. He's really a unicorn. If I had to take him and Porzingis, I'm taking Lauri 100% of the time.
Yeah, Porzingis after the knee surgery can barely move. I mean, he's such a defensive liability right now. He's hurting that team.
Yeah, and he's more content shooting threes. Whereas Lauri now with under Billy Donovan has really expanded his game. He's gone to the post. He's gone mid-range. He's putting the ball on the floor. And he's not just camping out at the three-point line as we saw him do last year. And on top of it, you can see that he's enjoying playing now. He's enjoying playing with his teammates. He's enjoying playing with Billy Donovan. He's got a coach that's putting him in situations to succeed. And it's just been, like I said, it's just been some bad luck. But I'm with AK, man. You can't just you can't let that kind of guy walk out the door, man, because you may not ever see it again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Nick says about Lauri because he was there in the Madison Square Garden. We had that career night.
Right.
He
dunked over Porzingis that night.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Kristaps and his teammate Luka Doncic has been in the news a lot. Dallas is on a hot streak. They're moving up the Western Conference standings. And, a number of people have been comparing him to the great Larry Bird because, like Larry, he's not an overwhelming athlete, but he gets anywhere he wants to go on the court, has unlimited shooting range, and contributes in so many different ways. What do you think about that comparison, Stacey?
I've said that from day one.
Yeah.
I've said that from the very first time we saw him when we played him in the preseason game. I said, this is Larry Bird 2.0. And it's not slighting him because he's not athletic. Luka's a better athlete than what people think. I think he's a better athlete than Larry Bird, to be honest with you. He can put the ball on the floor. He just doesn't move as fast as we're looking at guys in the NBA in today's game that, get from point A to Z in like seconds, where it may take Luka a week to get there, but you still can't stop him.
You can't stop him.
And he can shoot. How many game winners has he made in the last couple of years? I mean, he's clutch. He's got that clutch gene. And he's a guy, Mark, that I can, when LeBron is done, he's a guy that could easily be the face of the NBA as we know it in the next, 5 years.
Might be him and Zion.
Zion, John Morant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got a ton of young talent. The NBA, you know, Trae Young, you know, you've got a ton of young stars who are just starting to get to that superstardom level. And Luka's the guy out in front of all that.
Yeah, we saw DeAndre Ayton last week. He's coming along as a young center with Phoenix. Phoenix beat the Lakers last night. Yep. They're third in the West right now.
And I think LeBron, didn't he have an ankle situation?
He's sitting out tonight.
Yeah, he's sitting out
first
tonight.
game he's going to miss.
Hey, can I just make a disclaimer?
Sure.
Because I watched Larry, but I know King played against Larry. I watched almost every one of his games growing up. There's one thing that Luka will never be.
Trash talker?
Maybe that. But there's another thing.
What?
And he'll never be as tough as Larry Bird, because that guy was tough. And that's all I'm going to say. That guy jumped and got on the floor and led the league in floor burns. And he took more elbows. I saw him take an elbow from Tree Rollins. I'm sorry. He'll never be tough.
That fight with Dr. J wasn't real tough, though.
No.
Neither one wanted to throw a punch there.
Come on, King. Am I right on that one?
Another disclaimer from the other side of the room.
Yeah,
you can see the reaction on YouTube.
Listen, no, I will say this. Larry Bird was very tough. Okay, I ain't gonna lie. Larry Bird's tough. If I gotta go in a foxhole, I'm going with Larry Bird. If I gotta go down a dark alley in the streets of Boston, I mean, I could walk by myself because I'm a bad dude, my dang self. You know, I'm good with these hands. But if I had to take somebody, it'd be Larry Bird. You know, Luka cries a lot. Luka kind of complains a lot. You know, you'll never see Larry Bird crying to the officials, but Luka's always like, you know, with the hands, like, please call me. I'm Luka, call foul, you know.
Yeah, he
does a lot of whining, you know. And that doesn't mean he's not a great player. He's a great player. I'm a big Luka fan. But you never saw Larry Bird. You never saw these guys. I mean, like, you know, pleading for calls and stuff. You know, Larry Bird slyly tell you, like, you know, hey, you owe me a foul. Give me a foul.
Yeah.
And then next play,
Larry had to wear those shorts too.
Wow.
That was tough.
Oh, you noticed the shorts, huh?
Yeah, he's the only guy in the room that noticed the shorts.
Well, you're the one wearing them under your jeans right now. We all know that.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow.
You know, I think this is a good time to bring our guest in.
Yeah. He's a John Stockton
Things
fan,
are getting
too.
a little bit out of
Stockton
control.
Shorts. He wears those at the health club.
Hey, don't bring that up.
You talk about an imprint.
All right, we're going to take a quick time out here, bring in the great Nick Friedell, talk about Tibbs and the Knicks and all things Bulls. Next on Gimme the Hot Sauce, Dr. John on the mix. Yes. Can you feel the love? Loving the new music here on Gimme the Hot Sauce. It's a great way to introduce our new friend. You know, Nick, we were going to bring in the old ESPN 1000 jingle, but they got copyright to it. So, you know, the thing ends with, and he loves Steak and Shake. When's the last time you've been to Steak and Shake? Nick Friedell joining us on Gimme the Hot Sauce.
Oh, man, it's great to hear y'all's voices. But, Mark, it's been a while because I went back home to Orlando during the break, and my 2 Steak and Shakes are shut. So I hope Steak and Shake is making it through the pandemic like all of us somewhere. But my 2 that I grew up going to, they are no longer.
Yeah, I think you're in the Chicago area. They're pretty much gone, too.
I found one the other day, Nick. I was up in Crystal Lake, baby. And I was
that one for me, my man.
I was hungry, baby. Very seldom. My wife's from Crystal Lake, so I was starving. So I said, man, I'd like to find a Steak and Shake. And then all of a sudden it appeared, man. I thought it was just a gift from God, brother. Because, hey, Steak and Shake is the best. The best hamburgers. Best, period.
When you get something at 2 a.m. after a game, that's the place.
Yeah, they had a White Castle, and them White Castle run right through you.
They slide down pretty quick.
They're real. A slider is for real. That's what they named it, slider. It's a real slider.
Stacey, I took my son on a visit. He's checking out law schools. We went to check out Cal Berkeley in the Bay Area. So I had to get a recommendation on a cheeseburger from Nick Friedell because he has scouted them all over the country. Wow. He gave me a great recommendation, and we enjoyed it. So, Nick, you could publish a book. You could do an online service. I mean, you're a versatile guy.
I'm ready for it, Mark. In case everything falls apart at some point, the burger aficionado game is probably where I'm headed.
Hey, we want to talk to you about all kinds of things NBA. We should probably start with the Bulls, and they're having a nice season under Billy Donovan. Obviously, not much change to the roster, but a new front office, a new coaching staff, and it seems like he's freed up a lot of these guys. They're playing with a lot more freedom on offense, and it's led to them being in playoff contention. What have been your observations from afar watching this young Bulls team?
They play hard, and guys, after all these years, it's nice to see that again on a regular basis. I've always liked Billy a lot. I think he was a really nice choice by the new front office. And I think that's the key. You get the right coach in place and you get him leading the direction of the team in a good way, and things can happen. And it reminds me from a distance, obviously there's not the same talent on the roster right now, but it reminds me of when Tibbs came in and everybody kind of went, okay, everybody knows where to go and everybody knows where to be. And on top of having Billy there and Arturis and Mark Eversley, it just feels like there is a change. And from where I sit, it was a needed change. I think it was a few years past due, but they made it happen finally. And it's good to see. And then you get the play of Zach LaVine, who I know is going to the All-Star game, and he's had a hell of a year. I think there are building blocks here where you think that all the bad times that everybody's dealt with for a while, those might be finally going away.
When you talk about building blocks, and one of the names that always pops up is Lauri Markkanen. You know, he's had some bad luck the last couple of years due to injury, Nick. You know, this year he's had some bad luck. He started off, very, very well. When he has played, he's put up some very nice numbers. You know, what do people on the outside think about Lauri Markkanen? Is he a long-term answer for the Bulls? Do you see them moving him at some point? You know, what do you think about that?
Stacey, I don't think so. I don't think he is a guy that you're going to give a huge deal to, and then he's going to lead you back to the top. I mean, we all sat and watched that rookie year, and I can remember being in Madison Square Garden, and Lowry was dunking on dudes, and he was dropping like 35, 17. And you're going, whoo, this guy is it. This guy is kind of going to be that next face of the team. And because of injuries, because of inconsistencies, I think when you talk to people around the league, they're just trying to figure out who Lowry is still. And that's not a good sign a few years later when you're trying to decide, do you want to pay this guy? Do you want to make him a long-term piece? So for me, I know he's had better numbers to start this year, but then, of course, another injury popped up. I'm moving him if I'm the Bulls, because the number he wants and the number that they would feel comfortable giving him right now, based on what he's done, seems like a very, very wide margin. So I'm not sold on Lowry, and I'm not sure what they're going to end up doing, because he has talent very clearly, but I don't know if you could trust that talent to get them to a different point.
How about Zach LaVine? I mean, you mentioned him earlier, Nick. He's having a great season, his first All-Star game appearance. And I know that you took a little heat from Bulls fans on social media because you accurately pointed out in the defensive metrics, he ranks near the bottom in the NBA. It's funny how polarizing this guy has been. Remember when he signed that offer sheet with Sacramento? A lot of Bulls fans are going, why do they match that for? Now that's one of the best value contracts in the NBA. The Bulls face a unique situation with Zach that they could potentially use cap space to try to extend him this coming summer. But Zach and his agent, I'm sure, are going to want a max contract. Would you invest a max contract in Zach LaVine?
No, flatly marked no. And to Zach's credit, I was one of those people a few years ago when that deal came down and they matched. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And he has absolutely exceeded that. And he's put in a ton of work on his game. I mean, I laugh, guys, because my mom, she's still in Orlando. She watches Stacey, she watches every Bulls game still, just a diehard. And she's like, go easy on Zach LaVine. He's had a heck of a stretch here. He's playing really well. But I think for me, I look at what happened a couple years ago, and this is framing where I am on this issue. The Bulls did not want to give Jimmy that super max. I think it was like $224 million. They did not think he could be the face of a title team. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, can Zach be a max guy? And Zach is a hell of an offensive player. When he gets hot, it's like a designated hitter in baseball. He is rolling. Offensively, he's awesome. It's the other parts of the game. And I know he's gotten more efficient. I know he's been a better playmaker. And I know the defense is at a better point than it has been. Zach LaVine is going to improve. But, Mark, to me, flatly, given what I see right now, I would not invest $200 million into Zach, believing that Zach is going to take the Bulls up to that title contention again. And it goes back to it. And I was getting crushed a few years ago because I thought in the moment that they were right to move Jimmy when they did. And obviously Zach is a lot more well-liked, it seems, internally than Jimmy was. Although, as we know, Jimmy was beloved, but everything kind of got out of control in those last couple of years. The issue to me is I'm just not sure if Zach is going to be that total player that is going to lift everybody else up around him. And maybe, again, in a few more years, I'll be happy to say, hey, I was wrong. He proved me right. But right now, given what we know, that is not a deal that I would want to get into because the lens changes. Zach on a deal that's paying him $20 million a year, that's great. Zach on a deal that's paying him $40 a year, things are going to look a little different at that point.
When you look at the Bulls point guard situation, what's your interpretation from the outside looking in? Kobe White's development as a point guard. Do you look at him, Nick, as a long-term answer at the point guard position? That he's going to be a guy that they're just going to have to groom into that position and he's going to have to grow in that position? Or do you see the Bulls at some point saying they don't think he's a point guard and go in a different direction?
Stacey, I don't think he's a point guard. I watch these games here and there where I can, and I know the numbers have been there sometimes, but I don't think he's a point guard. And I think that was the issue all along when he was coming out. Everybody kind of went, is this the guy who's going to set everybody else up, or is this a scorer who can get to the rim sometimes, who's kind of masquerading as that point guard? If it's me and I'm the Bulls, I'm looking for somebody else now. And this is, again, somebody with a lot of talent. But if you're looking for someone to set up the offense and you're looking for that guy who's going to get everybody else involved, as I watch Kobe White, I don't see it. Maybe, again, it's just like the LaVine conversation. You can be on either side. He's going to get better, Kobe White is. And do you trust that he's going to get better in being that point guard of the future? I'm having flashbacks right now to Gar saying that so many different times as we go through it, but I don't think so. And I think that's one of the things they're really going to have to shore up as they figure out what they want to do with the roster.
So if you're keeping track at home, all the Nick Friedell haters out there, wants to trade Lauri Markkanen, doesn't want to max out Zach LaVine because it's not worth it, and Kobe White's not the point guard of the future. Other than that, though, the Bulls are doing great. So it's at Nick Friedell on Twitter. Make sure you do that. Hey, let me ask you about somebody else you can bash. The Rising Stars rosters are just been announced as we're taping on Wednesday afternoon, and neither Patrick Williams nor Kobe White was named to the U.S. squad. Of course, they're not going to play the game because of the pandemic restrictions, but they did want to name, but they did name the squads. But check out the U.S. roster. It's pretty darn good. It's Zion, John Morant, LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Tyler Hero, DeAndre Hunter, Michael Porter Jr., James Wiseman, and the one you maybe can question would be Keldon Johnson, but San Antonio's having a nice year.
Man, Patrick Williams should be on there.
What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, Patrick Williams should be on there.
Is Patrick Williams a keeper for you? You trading him too?
Yeah, no. We'll see what he can do over the next couple of years. I think Pat Williams has a bunch of talent, and anybody you talk to in that building will tell you, hey, he could be that guy that the Bulls really need him to be over time. And I give this front office credit because I think a lot of people around the league, when the Bulls picked Williams, they went, that high? Yeah. Really? And you see the flashes. The question with any young player is, can they turn the flashes of talent into something more over the next couple of years. So my hope, and if you're a Bulls fan, you've got to just believe that with Pat Williams and
who
whoever
else?
Kobe White, that all these people, myself included, who are saying, you're good, but you don't belong on this roster, or you're good, but you don't deserve this contract right now. They use it as motivation. And that's when you have this kind of young team, you always hope that somebody can keep pushing that level. And we saw it. Certainly, I look back on Joakim, all the people through the years are like, he's good, but he'll never be a difference maker. And then he was right there near the top of that MVP voting, won a Defensive Player of the Year award. I look at Jimmy, how many people were like, he's good, but he's just a defensive stopper. And he used all that negativity and all that doubt, and he pushed himself to become what he is now. So you hope that history repeats itself in that conversation. But I was a little surprised, too, that Williams wasn't on that roster.
Now, Nick, we just got a chance to see Denver come through on their East Coast run here. And I know they've been battling injuries all season long, guys in and out of the lineup. But looking at Jokic, in person, like I've seen on TV, what he's doing. But I came away the other night going, wow, man, this kid is a lot better than what I thought. And this kid in Denver is going to be a problem once they get everybody healthy, because you remember Murray has been battling a shoulder injury all season long. So he hasn't been 100%, but he's starting to get to 100% now. This is a team. Do you think this is a team, when it's all said and done, they'll match their situation they did last year in the bubble and be able to push their way to the Western Conference Finals and challenge whoever, the Lakers, the Clippers?
I think the Lakers and Clippers are still a cut above, Stacey. But I'm watching Jokic the same way you are, and I'm going, he's better.
Yeah.
And this guy is a legit MVP candidate. He's going to be right near the top of that conversation. And if you combine where he is and where Murray continues to go, you give yourself a chance. The thing that I worry about as far as Denver goes is you've got a team that got a taste of real success down there in the bubble, but who else is that guy who's going to step up and help when Jokic at least is slowed a little bit or Murray can't get it going? I know a lot of people thought it was going to be Michael Porter Jr. I'm still not sold there, but that roster has a ton of talent up top. And I think that they're going to be a presence for a lot of years. I just don't know this season if they can get over that hump and get through the West and get into the finals.
Hey, Nick, I want to go back to something that you mentioned on the Zach Lowe podcast. I found it fascinating, having been there with the three alphas, and I just want to get the
He's
record.
telling that story against.
My God!
I get to the question quicker.
I just want to get to the record
The
straight.
three
here.
alphas.
The one guy that was in the right, the one guy that called him out, and the one guy that worked with. I remember watching him with Isaiah Cannon and working with the young guys. The Rondo. Can you please tell people that Rondo was in the right? And he did what was right for the team, being a team guy in that situation. With the bad rap he got in Dallas, but that situation, those two were in the wrong, and Rondo was in the right.
John, I have a story that'll put it all into context.
There you go.
For the point that you're asking, there was a shoot around or a practice in late March or April of that season, and this was after Jimmy and Wade had just destroyed all the younger guys. And I'll say
unbelievable.
Before we go too deep down the rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
The players on that team, they always respected Jimmy.
Oh, sure.
Because they knew the work that he put in. Even though he said what he said, the respect was always there. They really could not stand Wayne because Wayne wasn't practicing.
He was
and
in
then
Miami half the time.
Right, and he calls them all out. But the scene that always sticks out to me as far as how much Rondo was respected was we're at the shoot around in Philly. It was a Temple. And I still remember we walk in because we could always come in for those last couple minutes and talk to guys. We walk in. On one side of the floor, it's Rondo and every single other player on the team. And I think Nico was like sitting on the bench somewhere, just taking a break for a few minutes. But every single player on the team, and Rondo's going through drills with them and talking to them. On the other side of the floor, that's where Jimmy and Wade were. And that has always stuck with me because that team was supposed to be united by those three guys. And in that moment, not that we didn't already know after what they had said, but Rondo, I mean, my gosh, there's a reason why to I know what you're getting at. Rondo's going to be a head coach. Whenever Rondo decides, I'm retired, I'm done, I want to go coach, he's going to, because he had the respect of that room, and universally in that moment when everybody was getting crushed and he stood up for all those younger guys, he understood the balance within the locker room, and they loved him for it.
You know, for everyone watching on YouTube, Timmy Whispers got up and walked away. It wasn't because he didn't want to hear John's Rondo crusade anymore. I guess we had a delivery, so I thought that was you were walking away in protest.
I thought he was protesting the question too, but no, I said Timmy Whispers because I had some Hooters. Hooters come from Uber Eats.
Is that a sponsor?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's not a sponsor, but it could be. Okay. So I text Timmy Whispers. I forgot that we were on YouTube.
No, we saw you. You went like that.
So I texted him. Hey, listen, man, don't tell everybody what's going on behind the scenes, all right? Or you get a throat punch.
We'll talk about that later.
So I text Timmy Whispers, say, hey, man, can you get out there and get my order?
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, but during that time, I still screamed in a pillow like that AT&T commercial. That's a stinger story.
You should have one of the young ladies from Hooters deliver, personally.
Listen, you know what, man? Hey, listen, it wasn't one of those.
I think that's one of Nick's favorite
you don't have any.
Well,
you don't have any choice when it comes to Uber. It could be anybody. It could be anybody.
Yeah, they're not driving the Uber Eats. Yeah. Hey, I want to ask you another story from that era of Bulls basketball. Actually, before that, you had a unique relationship with Tom Thibodeau. Tom, I know Tom loved you, but he always used to try to pick on you during news conferences, and he loved your laugh, as we all do. Tell us your favorite Tibbs story from all your time covering that guy, because he was very consistent, do your job. Do your job. Make or miss league. All his cliches he used to talk about. Got more than enough to win. What's your favorite memory of the Tom Thibodeau era?
Mark, the one that jumps out instantly to me, and I always enjoyed covering Tibbs. I still do. In fact, I was talking to him the other day for a story I'm putting together now. But there was that moment, and you guys probably remember. It was, I think, towards Boozer's last year, and Tibbs was still there, and maybe it's the second to last year, but we're in a shoot around in Sacramento, and it's literally like the only people at the shoot around is me, Agray, KC, and Cowley.
Yeah,
and Boozer is over there at the shoot around, and I think Agray asked him like what he felt like when he was getting, because remember he was getting pulled late. Taj was going in.
Yeah, get 10 early. Yeah.
And Boozer proceeds to say, well, sometimes we win, but most of the time we lose.
Oh, wow.
I don't really like that. And we were all kind of like, whoa.
Where did that come from?
Like, I mean, just really out of nowhere. And so fast forward a few hours, and we're at the pregame in Sacramento. And I think KC said to Tibbs, hey, Carlos had some stuff to say. I was wondering if you had a chance to see that, and would you like to respond? And Tom proceeds to say, I didn't see what Carlos said. And then rattles off every single fourth quarter stat between Taj and Boozer. Every reason why Taj was out there on the floor. And we do this better in the fourth, and we do that better, and this number is this. And that always stuck with me, because Tom always loved to say, Mark, as you remember, I don't pay attention to all that stuff. I don't pay attention to what's written or what's said. That was always ridiculous. But it was in that moment that it all crystallized for me, because Boozer had just come out and as close as anybody did during his tenure was basically questioning Tibbs, like, what the hell is this guy doing? And here comes Tibbs with every statistical number after saying he hadn't paid attention to any of it. So that always makes me laugh. And when people ask me about Tibbs, I try to put it into that kind of kind of memory because it always makes me laugh all these years later.
Speaking of Tibbs, let's talk about the job he's doing in New York and the job that Derrick Rose, he's now elevated to the starting point guard position. I keep telling people all the time that, Derrick Rose has reinvented himself into what everybody wanted him to be when he first came out, to be more of a point guard, to be more of a guy that got his teammates involved and not used his athleticism. Now he's that person, and you hear people say, oh, he's lost a step. Oh, I'm like, man, come on, you can't have it both ways. But what Tibbs has done in New York, tell me what you feel about that. I think he's done a remarkable job.
Stacey, we watched it in the very beginning. In so many ways, when I watch that Knicks team, it reminds me of those first couple Bulls teams, and especially this Knicks team that doesn't have a ton of talent. They've got Julius Randle playing the role of Luol, the guy who was kind of looked over, and then Tibbs comes in and says, hey, this guy's a problem when you watch him, and he's getting the most out of him, and he helped turn him into an all-star. But remember that year where Derrick went down and Tom had to kind of reorganize everything on the fly, and he's got Joakim kind of playing point center, and he had to redo it all kind of in the moment. Watching the Knicks right now, there is nothing that Tom Thibodeau loves more than a team that everybody says can't do X, Y, Z, and then motivating that team and telling everybody how much everybody is doubting them and they don't think they can play. I think there is a nice mix of younger talent. You've got a guy like Quickly. You've got Obi Toppin, who he's trying to bring along, but then you have the Randalls and the Noels, and you got Taj back, and you got Derrick back. These guys all love playing, and they're not afraid to take some coaching. And I think Tibbs, he's never going to change, guys. We know him too well for that. But I do think he has learned from maybe some of the mistakes in the past. I absolutely believe that. And I think his message, while it's always going to be the same, maybe has softened a little bit. But he's got guys who love to be in the gym. And there is nothing that's going to earn you more respect from Tom Thibodeau than putting in the work and seeing that work translate into games. And for my money, people are going, the Knicks going to fade. I think Tibbs is going to make sure they cross that finish line and at least get into the postseason, because they're on the way to building something really nice out there. And Stacey, I agree with you with Derrick. He's become the player everybody wanted him to be when he was 21, 22. Now, all of a sudden, he is that guy. And I think for the first time in a few years, he's enjoying playing again. And as somebody who watched all those years in Chicago, that is great to see.
Hey, Nick, before we let you go, tell the viewers a little bit of story of our background together. We first got a chance to work together on the beat, and I tried to recruit you to come into NBC Sports Chicago, and I was setting up meetings with the executives. I mean, this guy's the best guy out there. We got to bring Nick Friedell. And you mentioned Agri Sam, who was the Bulls insider for a while for the website. He left, and I really wanted to get Nick in. And Nick goes in and has a conversation with management, and they threw nickels at him. And he goes, Mark, I can't work for nothing. You know,
I want the job, but I can't work for nothing.
And look what a star you are now. You're a big TV star at ESPN, living in the luxurious San Francisco Bay Area. How is your life now? And thank God you didn't take that job, right?
Oh man, no, hey, Mark, like you do, I have a lot of friends still there, but everything worked out, and everything worked out really well, and I've really enjoyed my time here covering the Warriors, especially that last KD year, guys. I've never seen more drama day in and day out than being around that team. But it's been a fun challenge. But truly, like I miss Chicago. There's only one Chicago. There's only ever going to be one Chicago. So I'm hoping, like so many people who I know are listening to the podcast and who have followed y'all for years, that team becomes what everybody thinks they can over time. I think they're a long ways away, if we're being honest, but it's been fun to kind of see the league differently being out here for the last few years. But truly, Mark, you bring that up. I mean, and I've told you this a lot, I always appreciated that you stuck up for me, not only in that moment, but over time. And And Stacey, the same thing goes. I mean, you were so nice to me in the very beginning when I didn't know anybody. And, I mean, Mark, absolutely, you were too. But I mean, I knew no one coming to Chicago. Right. And in fact, Stacey, I'd be remiss if I don't remind everybody of this story. It makes me smile so hard every time. I was on the radio show. In fact, Hoodie always reminds me of this too. I'm on the radio show with Hoodie. It's a Saturday afternoon prior to some Bulls game. And we're on the radio, and we're talking about something, and you tell Hoodie, like, Hoodie, Nick comes up to me, and he introduced himself for the first time, and he's like, I thought you were a brother. I did. On the radio, I thought you were a brother. Hoodie and I were laughing so hard. My old friend Mike Wright, who worked with me at the website, he said he was in the car. He almost crashed because he was laughing so hard by the wheel. So,
I swear to God, I did. I swear to God.
Truly, though, I always appreciate how y'all treated me, and I've tried to pay it forward through time, but that was a special time in my life, coming to Chicago and being around that team when they were so good, being in the city, and I'm sure at some point way down the line, maybe I can get back there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Nick. I'm so happy to see you to the success that you come, because I always knew. I mean, you have a voice. I always said you had the voice. The voice is booming. A lot of people wish they had a deep voice like me and you, Nick. Okay, I don't have mine. It's not as deep as yours, Nick. I don't have that. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, Stacey's got the golden pipes, but he's got like a little Barry White going.
You need to take that voice of yours, Nick, and do some voiceovers and some commercials, man. Yeah, you had a voice of what's the guy's name that does the Allstate can. You need to be doing that. You need to take his job. Haysbert. Yeah. Dennis Haysbert. Yeah. You need to take that job from him, man. Your voice is deep in his.
Whatever it takes.
Nick, it was so much fun catching up. We wish you the best covering the Warriors, continued success with ESPN, and we can't wait to see you next time that you're in Chicago. The one and only Nick Friedell. That plaid jacket is not a fake, and he loves steak and shake. Thank you, my friend. We're going off the wall next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Oh, yeah, all we need is Chuck Swirsky dancing.
No, we don't. You just ruined a good moment there.
Hey, that was the worst thing about the Bulls dropping those last two games. I was wondering what kind of new moves Chuck was going to come up with. He worked some basketball in the last one.
Listen. Don't encourage that. Don't encourage that. Okay? No, stop.
It is time for Off the Wall, and that certainly would fit into that category. If you listened to the last episode, and if you didn't, where were you? Southside Susie took a trip to Alaska, a brief trip, squeezed it all in 5 or 6 days, but you covered a lot of ground. We want to hear about that. What was your favorite part of going to Alaska?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys.
We got to get you on the
I would
YouTube.
like to thank you guys for the movie recommendations, because you pretty much ruined my life on the way to Alaska. I watched The Edge between Chicago and Seattle, and then I watched The Gray from Seattle to Anchorage.
Those are the King's recommendations. Get you in the movie.
Yeah, that was good. And I thought about getting back on the plane and heading home. Shout out to Colonel Deal and his family. Yep, for hosting me. He invited me to come up, and I honestly, he told me that as long as he's been living there, I was the first person to accept an invitation to visit during the winter. I don't think they accepted me to come.
Wow.
But I would say the most exciting part was the dog sled ride. I think Stacey, you tweeted out a short clip. That was unbelievable. It was really fun. We went up to Chena Hot Springs. We drank apple martinis out of ice glasses. That was a good trip.
Ooh, wow.
Couple hours out of Anchorage, actually north of Fairbanks. It was really cool. And I hiked a glacier, the Manatuska, I think it's called, glacier. So I think next time you recommend movies to people, you should probably go for Ice Age because it was pretty cool. We slid down those ice tunnels and it was awesome. But I didn't see a single bear, nor a single killer wolf, just a bunch of moose and caribou and bald eagles. And it was pretty awesome.
Well, Tim would say the moose will get you, right?
Everything she just mentioned will kill you. Everything.
And I could have used some of Stacey's astronaut diapers because we drove.
Oh, yeah. Explain that to us.
We drove 7.5 hours to get to the Chena Hot Springs. And when I Zoomed you guys, I was laughing. So I was like, there's literally no one. I mean, you can go 150, 200 miles and there's no.
Really?
Yeah. It's astronaut diapers. They're a bottle.
Yeah. So if I ever go on a trip to Alaska, I will be packing the astronaut diapers.
Absolutely.
Because if you got to wait 150, 200 miles to go to the bathroom, I'm just going to sit in the seat and go.
Yeah.
Too much information.
I'm just letting it go. I'm letting it go. It's crazy.
What about the natural scenery? People talk about Alaska all the time. And as you mentioned, that most of the time they'll say go in the summer so you can enjoy more of the surroundings. But what was it like in the dead of winter?
Well, I waited until after February 15th because the colonel said the mountains, like the sun would clear the mountains. It wasn't, you don't see direct sunlight per se, but the sky's light. I didn't think it was that much colder than Wisconsin, to be honest with you. It was awesome.
And the glaciers are on the move, you said. You got to be careful when you backtrack.
Yeah. They take you on a snowmobile to get to the glacier and then you hike. And literally we couldn't get back the same way we came because something had melted and they're like
That's
living
scary.
things. It was awesome.
I'd like to go back to the reindeer sausage because if anybody knows Southside, she's like Julia Roberts in Notting Hill, where she tucks did you actually really taste that?
Yeah, no, I didn't want to, confess that I don't eat meat. And I was offered reindeer sausage quiche and I just figured, what the hell?
And you tried it.
It was good.
And it was good.
Yeah, it just tastes like regular sausage.
Really?
What? I guess Christmas is over up there because they're eating the reindeer.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's going to change Christmas forever for you.
I've never heard of that before.
I guess Santa's not going to be able to travel next time.
That just goes to show you can eat anything.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We just blew our kids out.
Wolf.
Yeah, wolf. Elk. It just shows you can eat anything. I've never in my life heard anybody say they made reindeer sausage.
Blitzen jerky. Ever had that?
Yeah, no.
No.
I did take a pass on moose. They offered to make that for me for dinner, and I went with the salmon instead. But
yeah, I would have went with the salmon myself.
Yeah. Anyway, but thanks.
Well, we're just glad you're back safe and
Thank
sound.
you.
There was a lot of traveling. Had to take a bus from O'Hare back to Milwaukee at the end.
Yeah. Tell us about planes, trains, and automobiles.
No. John was working in Madison. We're not blaming this on John.
I'm blaming it on him. Okay.
It was a coach bus.
Yeah, it was a coach bus.
Yeah.
And you had to take it from O'Hare back home to Milwaukee.
Hitchhike back to Brookfield.
Correct.
Yes, and there was nobody to pick you up when you got to Milwaukee.
I was going 90 miles an hour on the 94 from Madison to make sure I got to Gerke's Corner.
There you
the
go.
bus was.
Yeah, no, he was.
Okay. He got there?
Yes, he did.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, guys. Good friend.
Okay. Hey, buddy. Hey, I'm just saying, you know what?
First it's the beer in segment 1. Now it's this.
Poor John.
John, listen.
You got caught reaching over to grab Stacey shrimp too.
Yeah,
The camera catches everything.
Wow, you are.
No, I mean it's on there.
But
I worked in TV for 40 years. I look at the monitor,
It's just like when those little like those raccoons get caught on your porch.
Yeah.
They look up and all of a sudden they see that's John. Oh my God.
Well, this segment is off the wall, and one of the things we talked about in our Zoom meeting yesterday was, it's our childhood, things that we remember from growing up in the 70s and 80s, and we're going to kind of go around the room. Susie's still here, so why don't you start us off? Your memories of the 1970s and 80s.
The
What
Brady
pops
Bunch.
into your head?
The Brady Bunch. Yeah.
Brady Bunch.
Every episode. That's it. That's all I got.
Oh.
And how I wanted to have straight hair.
Wow.
Oh, that's cold.
Wow.
It's going to be a long ride back to Brookfield.
Long ride home.
Yes.
You got the mic, John.
Yeah, well, I just want to say I had this Schwinn. You guys remember Schwinn bikes?
Yeah.
And
They're still around, John.
Yeah, I had.
Did you have a banana seat?
Yeah, I did actually.
You look like you'd ride a banana seat.
It was mellow yellow with a white banana seat and like the 8 bars. Man, if I can get a hold of one of those today,
I bet you.
I got some nice beats.
And it would go right along with the singlet and oil.
I would be, on that all summer long.
Oh, I know you would.
You're doing this to yourself.
He is
That's
doing
okay.
it. He would be on it all summer long.
Listeners
and viewers.
And viewers, if you remember those bikes, and I see a lot of them on the Strand when I go out to, California. And they're the ultimate ride, man.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Tim, can you top that?
Well, I had one of those same bikes, so I understand some of the pain he went through.
Oh,
But
he
man-
didn't go through pain.
No,
He enjoyed
Oh,
it.
he was comfortable. That's
He was
right.
very
I
comfortable.
was happy.
Wow.
Yeah, that was great. And the 3 channels too. I do remember that. Of course, Nixon's resignation. And I felt like, though, I missed out a lot. That Studio 54 thing, what was that all about?
Oh boy.
Hey, what kind of childhood did you grow up here? You sitting here remembering Nixon's resignation and Studio 50. Where did you?
Well, it was all separated, right? I mean,
Did you
what
go
were
outside?
learning? Did you have a life?
Did you go outside?
Did you climb some monkey bars? Play on the
go outside
playground?
and stay outside until it got dark.
Oh my God. He's like 8 years old. And you remember the Nixon resignation? I was like,
Yes, it was a big deal. That was on one of the 3 channels. That was on every channel.
It was on every channel.
Yeah.
oh
Not,
my God.
not on the south side.
No,
No.
I don't even remember.
Well,
The
that's part
Pliers
of the
didn't go
problem,
to that
'cause you couldn't change channels.
Yeah, that's
To the
a
Brady
low
Bunch.
blow. That's a low blow, okay? Come on, man. Not everybody can afford a TV
All right.
with a channel change, okay?
So-
All right, that's low.
Is that your story growing up 70s or do you have,
No, man. Let me think, man. I
Should
think
come
growing
back
up,
to you? Oh.
no, I think growing up 70s, just how like I can remember my household, like it was like stopped, like we're stopped in time. Okay. My mom used to have all the furniture covered in plastic. Okay. Had the big wooden fork and spoon on the wall as artwork. Shag carpet on the floor. Remember shag
Oh,
carpet?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
oh, sure. We all
And
had
then
it.
and I hated shag carpet. I hated shag carpet because my brothers would always drop needles in there
Oh,
in the shag carpet. So when you walked across it, you got stuck with a needle
on purpose?
on purpose. Yeah. Oh, bleeding on white shag carpet. And then your mom, and then you get a spanking from your mom
Yeah.
for dirtying the carpet. Okay. But the plastic furniture, when it's like 95 degrees outside, and you come outside from playing and you're sweaty and you're just hot.
That's why there's
Okay.
plastic on
Yeah.
there.
So then you sit on the plastic and your mom said, don't sit on that. You can't sit on it until Sunday. Like, where the hell am I supposed to sit? This is the only furniture we got in the house, Mom. Where am I supposed to sit? Get your little dirty butt. Don't you sit on my furniture, my nice furniture. We only sit on it on Sunday. I'm like, but see, everybody in my neighborhood was the same way. Their kids couldn't sit on the furniture until like Sundays, So that was church and everything. But I remember that. It's just like, wow, that was
the time of indestructible furniture. Herculon, Vermiculon. You guys remember those names?
Yeah. But my
Those couches are still there.
mom's furniture like seemed like it lasted like 20 years. And the reason why it lasted 20 years because we never could sit on it. And seriously, I'm just being honest. I mean, you couldn't sit on it. So I just remember that kind of stuff. So it's just, the 70s was great though. It was great. The Brady Bunch, Leave It to Beaver, Buffy and Jody, The Family Affair, some of the TV shows that you don't even see anymore that
Mr. French.
Yeah, and what was the little doll's name? The little doll that Buffy always had, Miss Beasley.
There you go.
Right.
Good
Miss
memory.
Beasley. Then you had the Dick Van Dyke Show.
My Three Sons.
My Three Sons,
Petticoat.
Petticoat Junction. I always wanted to know what they were doing behind that big water tower. They were taking a shower, and I was just like, I was a little pervert. I was like, well, I wish I could get in there and swim in there while they're doing that. And then I go back. That reminds me of a little pervert. I'm sorry.
This is the Zoom meeting, I think, memory.
No.
I used to have, when I was in first grade, I used to have like this hot first grade teacher. She was so pretty, pretty teacher, just starting out, whatever. I didn't know how old she was. I was a kid. I wasn't really worried about age at that time.
You think you had a chance?
Just possibilities.
I think there was a chance, I thought I had a chance as a child. I thought I had a chance, but it didn't work out that way. But she used to like, have this thing called a litter bug. And it was made out of styrofoam. It was an actual bug that looked like a bug. So she'd always place this in your desk if your desk was dirty. So when you're out of her class, if school's over, 3:30, 4 o'clock, she'd go around and look at everybody's desk. Whoever's desk was dirty, the litter bug was in there. Okay. So I figured out a way, because I was a little pervert at the time, just keep that on the down low, people. I wanted to spend some more time with the teacher. Okay. So I have those little ways, like, she'd walk by my desk and then she'd get in front of me and I would just like kind of drop the pencil,
try to just look at her. Just look at her legs. She had long legs, just beautiful long legs. I was still like first grader. I was a first grader, but I was thinking, country boys, we're way ahead of everybody else. Okay, we're much more advanced than some people are. Like John,
I'm waiting for the sriracha sound effect.
Yeah, sriracha, John. Where's it at? Give me the hot sauce. Sriracha.
There you go. I like that. So she put a litter bug in my. Listen, you only need to do it one time. I think we heard the first time. So she put a litter bug in my desk, and I started figuring out that I would miss recess if I had this litter bug. So, needless to say, in order to spend some time with this teacher, which I thought was hot in the first grade, I would always mess my desk up on purpose to get litter bugs every day, so I could stay and hang out with the teacher. On recess. And then all my friends like, why do you never get to come out on recess? Why you always got to stay in? Just got a messy desk.
Messy desk. Did you notice the compact mirrors you would tape to the top of your shoes?
Oh, no.
Wow. You see, you've taken a good story, a good wholesome story and made it perverted.
Hey,
made it creepy.
You told us that on the Zoom meeting yesterday.
But I gave you the R-rated version. I didn't give you the PG-rated version. And way to throw me under the bus in the Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Huh?
Wow.
Your teacher could be listening.
This is throw me on the bus.
A lot of that going on today.
Wednesday.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Episode 18.
Mark, we didn't get your.
I'm the oldest one in the group, so I was going through, middle school and high school in the mid 70s.
You getting drafted or something?
No, I missed the Vietnam draft by a few years. But the 70s really were about long hair, bell-bottom pants, plaids, and hard driving rock and roll.
Nice.
Led Zeppelin, The Who, Rush, a group called Wishbone Ash. That was some hard rock, my friend. So that was what really pops to mind. And back then everybody was wearing long hair down to their shoulders and stuff. So if you first show up at school and you got the long hair and everybody thinks you're of a certain group, that you're hanging out with the stoners. Stuff. So then I went out for basketball, but the coach had a strict rule that you had to get the buzz cut. So you get you go into an old fashioned barbershop in Milwaukee. And they look at you like, all right, what's this hippie doing in here? I say, well, you got to cut it all off. I got basketball practice on Monday. So then you have to take on a whole new identity.
So you had to sacrifice the salad?
I had to give it all up, yeah. But thankfully, the salad's still holding up.
It is. The salad looks good right now, brother.
Yeah. All right, we're going to bring down the curtain on Off the Wall. Coming up next, we're going to go around the sports world. It's our rapid fire segment. Coming up on Gimme the Hot Sauce. We had a ton of fun going in the Wayback Machine, our memories of the 70s and early 80s. And now it's time to go rapid fire on top of the sports stories. And this is the year of quarterback change in the NFL. And all of a sudden, we've been seeing, Stacey, these mock-ups of Russell Wilson in a Bears uniform. And, he could go to the Cowboys in a trade for Dak Prescott. When we start the NFL season in September, it's going to be crazy to see how many quarterbacks are in different places.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see any here in Chicago. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Well, Ryan Pace met the media yesterday, and he was, as usual, very vague. Even mentioned the possibility that we haven't closed the door on Mitchell Trubisky coming back.
Yeah, and just get prepared for that. I don't see them going after Deshaun Watson. I don't see them getting into just because, Russell Wilson has decided that he has certain teams he wants to play for, and the Bears were on their list. Right. I mean, that excites the Bears fans. Like, the possibility of him coming here excites you, but that's not going to happen. You're going to have to give up a lot to get him. I mean, he's an all-pro quarterback. It's just not going to happen. I mean, if you're going to go that route, then you go get Deshaun Watson. He's younger. He's just, to me, has a better upside, because the system in Seattle, and it's really set for Russell Wilson,
Mr. Triple Double.
Yeah,
we still might be better off with him than Trubisky, though.
Wow, I'm a Mitch Trubisky fan. Mitch, if you listen, brother, hey, just work out, man, get stronger, and come and prove everybody wrong. Because I think his place is here if you get the right people around him. Again, you got to get an offensive line. Now, you can go out and get all the quarterbacks you want. Russell Wilson will have the same problems here that he's having in Seattle, probably worse. At least he does have an offensive line that can protect him a little bit, but he'll be running for his life here. So if they don't go out and get some offensive line help, to whoever the quarterback is, it's going to be the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, here's what Nagy said, leadership, decision-making, and you have some versatility as a quarterback with your legs. Great.
Running for your life is what he's saying. Because they're not.
Is he talking about Trubisky?
Well, I guess he's not ruling out Nick Foles or the possibility of signing Mitchell Trubisky again.
Well, Russell Wilson apparently is somewhat interested in the city of Chicago because it's a big market. His wife's a big celebrity. So, the idea of living in Chicago is somewhat appealing to him. But the problem for the Bears is whether it's Watson, Wilson, or any kind of trade.
Offensive line.
They have the 20th pick in the first round, and that doesn't have much value.
Well, and again, you are just kind of sweeping the problem underneath the rug. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson is complaining about taking too many hits in Seattle.
Yeah.
Imagine what's going to happen to him here. Seriously.
You want to get hit.
Seriously. That's his biggest thing, and then he's having some kind of fallout, which you're reading. I don't know. I'm not there. But, Pete Carroll and his sons supposedly in his eyes have too much authority.
Yeah.
And
he said it.
And he said it.
Yeah.
My problem with that is listen, you got paid a lot of money to be the quarterback. You got paid a lot of money. Now he wants, personnel decisions, and no, man, it don't work that way. It doesn't work that way, man. You get paid to play quarterback. You give your opinions in the quarterback room with the quarterback coaches and the offensive coordinator. You say, hey, look, this play doesn't work. Let's try this play. That's where your input is. Yeah. Not when it comes to personnel decisions. People get paid a lot of money to do that. And when you start allowing players to bring on who they want to bring on or to go out and go get this guy and it doesn't work out, then the player's saying, well, it's the management's fault. They brought him. They brought him here. I'm just a player.
Right.
It just opens up a can of worms. And I'll say this about Jerry Krause, and I'll always say this about Jerry Krause. The only person that could actually put Michael Jordan in his place as far as player and front office was Jerry Krause. Jerry Krause didn't care if Michael got mad. He basically told Michael, and this is why Michael to this day doesn't like him. He basically told Michael, you get paid to play. I get paid to run the front office. You do your job at your best of ability. I'll do my job at the best of my ability, and we'll win championships. And what happened?
They won a lot of championships. 6. I remember with 2 different distinctly good teams, and I know Mark was there to cover it. But, yeah, that's incredible, the job that he did there.
And he doesn't get the credit that he deserves, and it's a shame, too. Because if his name was Jerry West, he'd be the greatest GM of all time. If his name was,
Red Auerbach,
if his name was anybody else, it could have been Bob Simmons. It'd be Bob Simmons, the greatest GM ever. Yeah. 2 separate teams, 3-peat teams. Yeah. Only constant was Scotty and Michael. Everybody else was new. So he was able to do that. When will you ever see that duplicated again? Not ever. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why, when you hear people talk about, Michael's, how he talked about Jerry in the Last Dance, it's because the fact that Jerry never allowed Michael to make personnel decisions. Because if Michael had his way, Michael had all North Carolina players. Yeah. Seriously. I mean, he was big North Carolina. He would have had all North Carolina guys, and Jerry knew you couldn't win that way.
Yeah.
Hey, back to football. If Bears can't trade for an established quarterback, there's 5 quarterbacks expected to go in the first round. But the Bears, again, have the 20th pick, and those guys will all be off the board. They're going to have to trade up if they want one of them. It was interesting that Mel Kiper, the draft expert for ESPN, is comparing Mac Jones and his ability to throw the deep ball to Tom Brady, the Stingers' favorite player. Now Brady was drafted in the 6th round. That famous shot of him at the combine where he looks like
with the dad body, the dad body at 21.
Boy, did he change over time.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is nobody saw Tom Brady coming. So for Mel Kiper to make that comparison, you didn't see him coming. The only team that did were the Pats. I mean, let's face it, the Pats made that move and drafted him and elevated him to a starter when Bledsoe got hurt.
It doesn't matter. You can get a good quarterback after the first round.
Absolutely. Sure.
It's been proven constantly throughout the years. So you don't have to have a first round pick to grab a so-called elite quarterback. What you have to do is you have to have personnel people that are smart enough to see through things and say, this kid down the line, maybe he's 2 years away from being an actual franchise quarterback. We can store him, stash him, and then you can keep a Foles or you can, keep a Trubisky until he's ready to pass that torch to that guy. There's been a lot of guys in this league that didn't go in the first round that are first round talents.
Right.
Dak's fourth round.
Yeah, Joe Montana won the third round.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, you can get a quarterback beyond the first round, but Bears fans are getting impatient. They want them to get their guy who can be a quarterback.
Give me a lineman.
Yeah, give me some linemen.
Start getting me some linemen in the first round. Then we'll get us a quarterback in the later rounds.
Yep.
Brett Favre, second round.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
No, actually, he was late first round, wasn't he?
He was second.
All right, we'll look that up.
We need our stat checker. So Southside, look that up for us over there.
This is the first time we've convened since the Tiger Woods accident. And I'll tell you what, when you first saw the images on CNN or whatever news network you like to watch, boy, it brought back memories of Kobe. And you're thinking, just let's hope Tiger's going to be okay. And he communicated to his fan base via social media on Sunday when all the golfers wore red to honor him, which was a great thing the PGA Tour did. What were your guys' reaction when you first heard the news that Tiger had been in this serious car accident?
Shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked. The first thing I thought was Kobe all over again.
Yeah.
You know, because I remember exactly where I was, what I was doing when that news hit. And that's the first thing that crossed my mind. I mean, I was just like, please do not let him be gone. You know, that was my first. Please don't let him be gone. And I tell you what, when you looked at that car crash, there's really no way in the world he should have survived. The man upstairs, God, boy, had his healing hands on him and protecting him. Because I tell you what, even some of the people who were there, first responders, they had to cut him out with the jaws of life. And the first thing some of those people said when they did interviews was like, they are surprised that he's alive.
Yeah. I remember the day before, I think it was the day before that Sunday, the Nissan Open. It's not called the Nissan Open, but it's the Riviera Country Club, a place that he started as pro, and he's doing an interview with Jim Nance.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was very reflective on his career and his back and hoping that he'd, make it back for the Masters. And it's just amazing because I just remember stopping and watching. I was in the truck. We were doing a Bucks game, and I just was watching before the game, and I just stopped and watched that interview. For whatever reason, I mean, it's Tiger Woods. You always, and just him and Nance together, and it was just such this, very reflective moment, like I said. And then you find the news, and I did reach out to JR, our guy, JR Stage Manager Stars, and he lives up there, and he said, yeah, it's it's a really crazy. You start going downhill, and if you watch your speed, it can be a little dicey in those Palos Verdes hills. So. But I same thing when I heard George's life and the whole thing, and I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, and he was there to give golf lessons to celebrities. He had given lessons to Dwayne Wade the day before, and they'd been together, and Wade just couldn't believe that the guy he had just seen was involved in this serious crash. So whether he gets back to competitive golf or not really isn't important at this point. Just thank God that his kids, Samantha and Charlie, have their father. We're just grateful that he's going to be okay.
And appreciate life, man. I mean, 1 minute you're here, next minute you're not. I mean, so you got to appreciate life.
Yeah, and I love the fact that the players wore his iconic red and black on Sunday. I
said that already, John.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's in the bubble up folder.
Well, okay. I must have been just thinking about Tiger.
It also ends up being a great safety ad for that brand new car that was coming out. That's who he was driving. I mean, at the end of the day, they were talking about all the safety features.
Yeah, they were amazed the cabin held up as well as it did the front cabin.
Yeah.
The new Genesis SUV.
Yeah, so as you said, thank God Tiger's going to be okay. That's going to do it for Rapid Fire. We're going to rapid fire the rest of the show. We're going to go on the down low with stories from some behind-the-scenes broadcast tales. That's next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Welcome back. Final segment of episode 18. We were talking about some of the great number 18s in the world of sports.
I have an update.
Peyton Manning.
I have an update. Speaking of quarterbacks, Timmy Whispers was right. Brett Favre, 1991, second round, 6th pick, 33rd overall by the Atlanta Falcons. And we know the story about Jerry Glanville trading him to the Packers. Ron Wolf, big move. So there you go. Tim Whispers.
Was that for a first round pick to Green Bay?
The trade. I can look. I have the.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I have the pick. Yeah. I mean, I thought the question was when he was drafted, but now you're going to ask me about this. Now.
We'll just get on with the show.
Yeah, let's get on with the show.
Okay.
We're talking about the episode.
Who cares?
Episode 18. John, we talked about in our Zoom meeting some of the great 18s in the world of professional sports. You got Peyton Manning. How about Phil Jackson as a player? He wore number 18.
Yes, he did.
As did the great Dave Cowens, one of the undersized centers who led the Celtics to a couple of championships.
Roman Gabriel.
And
Ooh,
our old buddy Denny Savard, one of the great guys from the Chicago Blackhawks. Savoir-faire is everywhere. Talk about the 70s, the cartoon.
Yeah,
with savoir-faire.
Savoir-faire.
It's everywhere.
That's that will be in our bubble up roll. That's article about famous 18s.
There you go.
We put that in there.
So check that out. It's one of the features that we do every week, showing you how we prepare for the show.
Yeah.
And one of the things that John and Stacey and I have always been involved with is preparing for live broadcasts, and that can lead to some interesting moments over time. A couple of years ago, Neil Funk decided he was going to cut back on his schedule, and the Bulls were preparing for a number of people to fill in on the games that Neil wasn't going to be at. They were basically serving as auditions for a lot of guys who wanted to see if they could partner up with the great Stacey King. And I went up to a Bulls executive, head of communications, and I said, if you need somebody to fill in a game, I'd be happy to do it, thinking, well, there's no way in hell they're going to let me do it, because I had no background doing play-by-play. And I was kind of locked into that role as a pre and post game host. Well, lo and behold, it was near Christmas time, and I guess nobody else wanted to travel to Toronto, Canada. So I got tapped on the shoulder and go, hey, you want to go to Canada and do the game? And I'm like, yes. So, it gets more complicated because I got to get a passport to get into Canada. And I was amazed at how Canadians don't seem to like Americans that much. I'm showing my passport every 5 feet. It's like, well, what are you doing here? What's your business in Canada?
Well, King loves to tell the story. Every time we would go to Canada, they would put us on the very last terminal, right? And poor King, we'd have to walk. Oh,
it's like 5 miles.
It is.
It's the worst.
Yep.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
And what makes it so bad was you got me started.
See, I got him going.
Okay, so you got to envision this. Okay, so we go into this, we play the game, and we're the last people out of Canada. All the NBA teams always fly out there, after games. So it's late at night, like probably 10 o'clock. So they know this routine happens. They know it, okay? So the airport is closed. There's no one there.
Right.
There's no more planes in any terminals, like Terminal 1, 2, 3, no planes. They put us at Terminal 56. So after you got to go through all the customs, you got to take off our clothes. You got to get butt naked to go through the x-ray. Okay. Take your belt off, your shoes.
I think they were going to detain Swirsky one. Remember? Didn't they want to detain him? Yeah, there was something going on.
There was something going on. I don't know if he had a dildo or something in his back. I don't know. But I'm just saying. There's a rumor. There's a rumor. I don't know. But so they make you go through this whole obstacle course of, to get through. Okay. You finally show your passport, and then you think you're home free. Like, now I can get dressed, put my socks, underwear, everything back on. Okay. So I feel like I'm home free. And then they said, all right, guys, gate 56. So you're looking around like, okay,
it's gate 1 here.
Gate 1 right here.
1A.
Gate 2. And I'm like, and then they cut off, they had those little escalator things that you can get on.
Sure.
And they're stopped.
They're not working. They're off, turned off. And we have to walk every single time from the first gate all the way to the end.
But the duty-free shops are open.
The duty-free shops are always open. Always open. So, and I just never could understand, like, if the airport is closed and all the terminals are open, why does the Bulls plane always have to be in the very back? And a lot of times because we beat Toronto. So I used to think because we beat Toronto, they were punishing us.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
I used to think, and then
enjoy your walk as you leave our country.
Yeah.
But then I started asking other people, like, do you guys have this thing? Because you got to understand, when we come into Toronto, it's the easiest route to come in. Or am I lying?
Yeah.
It's so easy. You're probably there 5 minutes. You fill out all your paperwork. You get off the plane. You have to carry your own bags.
Welcome.
And you welcome. They what is your paper?
Business or pleasure?
Yeah. And you just walk right in. It's no more than 10 minutes. No more than 10 minutes.
What's your purpose? To beat your ass.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna kick your ass. Yeah. So, but it's the easiest. It's the easiest way to get in, but it's the hardest way to get out. It's crazy because then you remember, John. You have to come out after the game. You have your little plane ticket. You got to fill out. You got to fill out. It's like seriously. It's like you're doing some espionage.
And you don't want to lose those little tickets because you just don't know
when you get another one.
So because it's like the bus is dark and you're tired and you put that little ticket somewhere and you just don't know when you get to the gate. But I think we were talking about broadcasting, but
no, these are great stories.
Okay.
But what I was leading up to was the first time I was going to get a chance to call an NBA game. So I did a ton of preparation, very nervous. And, two buses leave for the arena. The players generally go on the first one. So Stacey said, well, come down. This bus leaves at, I forget the exact time.
Putting you under his wing.
Yeah. So he's telling me what time to go. So I'm sitting in my room because I've got like 20 minutes till that second bus leaves. All of a sudden I'm getting this text from Stacey. He's like, where the hell are you? He goes, I'm on the bus. And I'm like, oh, I thought you said it was at this time. He says, no, everybody's on the bus. And I'm like, oh shit. So I'm flying down there to get on the bus. And then there was a little bit of a traffic jam to get into the arena. There's kind of a roundabout way they went in there, and I'm getting more and more nervous. I'm like, oh, geez, I got no time to prepare. We had to record the open, all the rest of this stuff. So anyway, ball goes up in the air, and I'm so jacked up. I'm calling it like it's a radio game. I'm so-and-so passes to so-and-so on the screen. And so we get to the first time out, and Stacey goes, slow down. Slow down. The folks can see what's going on TV. And Stacey was the best. He took me under his wing, and that broadcast got better. And then the next year I got a chance to do the game in Detroit, and I thought I actually sounded like a professional broadcaster that night.
Yeah, I think I was producing that night, and I think you did, and it's nice that King. It's nice as King is easy on the play-by-play guys.
Theme for today's show.
Oh my God, that's payback for you, though.
I know. Hey, if you dish it out, you got to take it.
Yeah,
That's right.
All right, John, your turn.
Wait a minute. Let me throw this out.
Wait.
The reason why Mark was really late. He was late. He was probably late like a couple of minutes, but the reason why he was late was doing push-ups in the suit. He wanted to be ripped when he came on air. Okay, Mark. I didn't want to tell her. I was waiting for you to tell the story, but now I said you made me bring it out.
Yeah. No, it's fun to work with different people. And Stacey and I had so much fun that year. We worked with 15 people.
Yeah, 15 people.
But it was always fun because that's where I really got to know the King, because he would tell the stories. He always wanted, hey, John, set it up. Let's meet, we'll have coffee or breakfast or lunch or whatever, maybe coming off the bus, get in the hotel. And we just got the stories going. And I think it was great because it just sort of broke the ice, because people, it's Stacey King, it's the Bulls, they're nervous, but Stacey made it real easy. And it was fun. We had a lot of laughs working with all the people, of course, Adam. He was great, and you, Mark, and it was, it was a pleasure to, kind of to get a chance to, okay, who's going to be the next voice of the Bulls, right? And be a part of that. And Stacey was always gracious. Sometimes he's not as gracious to the producer, but
wow.
Certainly, but he.
You got a story about that?
Oh, dude, sure. If you, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, since you brought it up.
Well, real quick. So we're in Milwaukee a couple of years for the playoffs. And if you know anything about TV, April is the worst time. I know we get to go to the playoffs, and it's exciting because we get to do the first round, which are big games for the regional broadcasters, but it's in the time when there's no trucks available, no crews available, nothing. You're in the third ESPN, and we're the third in. And I don't want to tell King or Funk how rough the seas are, because I just need to bring the boat in. Bring it in. But we're doing a game in Milwaukee, and it was young Giannis, and we were up 3-0. We thought we were going to sweep them, and they kept winning games. And then we had this situation with Mike Dunleavy, and Giannis went nuts and knocked Dunleavy into the third row. And I'm in the middle of the Milwaukee tape room trying to produce this, and Stacey's like, "That's bull," Giannis hit him, and guys next to me is like, and they want to fight me now, and it's getting chippy in the tape room, and I'm like Anchorman.
This is behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen.
Going, I know the guy is running tape, going, Please listen to King. We're going to the telestrator. Please listen to the King. We go to the telestrator. Of course, he doesn't listen to the King. He starts rolling it when Stacey says freeze. He freezes it when Stacey says roll. And next, my name gets on the air. Hey, what are you doing back there? John Walsh's tape room, and John Walsh is running that machine. And I'm going, I'm taking it here. I'm taking it to the bunker. But the Bulls ended up winning that series, and all good.
And some things never change. You're still taking a lot of grief for stuff that's not your fault with the audio board, right?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Yeah, I certainly do.
Well, to John's defense, John is probably the best producer I've ever had. Okay, number one, I'm gonna throw that out there. But I've had some pretty bad ones along the way. I'm not gonna name any names, but I've had some pretty tough guys to work with. Because in a basketball game, ladies and gentlemen, you see the finished product. The fans see the finished product. They hear me talking. They hear Adam or Neil talking. They don't really know what goes on behind the scenes with that headset on. Okay. One of my biggest pet peeves is I can multitask, but I can't have like 3 people in my ear talking at the same time. That's annoying, especially when I'm starting to talk. Then I hear these voices. Everybody's talking in my ear at one time. John knows. John's like, when he's talking, shut up. Okay, he knows. Okay, so I never had to worry about it.
He talks. I listen.
Yeah, he knows. But there's some people I work with. They're talking. Hey, I want to order a ham sandwich, and I'm like, yo, dude, like, yo, let me hear what I'm talking about. Hey, listen, man, I don't really give a damn about your ham sandwich. Please stop talking in my ear. It's annoying, you know? And then as far as like, you know, I do throw the producer on the bus sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. But I've worked with guys that have forced me to throw them under the bus. Okay. So when people when they see me, you work with me, Mark, when I call for a telestration play, I've already marked off what I want to see. Yeah. So I get in there and I hit the little button and my talkback button. I'll say, let's use John's name for giggles. John, I need you to mark off the play that happened right there.
So I hear him and I tell the tape guy, hey, clip that. Yeah. That's Telly 1. That's how I would do it. And the next one would be Telly 2. And then, you know, series of plays would go by and then we'd go to break. And then I'd have Telly 1 or Telly 2. Call up which one. Hey, King, this is what you want to see? And he'd look at it.
Yes.
And go.
So when I look at it in the break, I'm assuming when we come out of break, I'm going to see the same thing we just talked about.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
That
okay. That's what I'm expecting. That we just talked about it off break. I saw it. I marked off. We're freeze it, roll it. I've already said all that. So when we come back, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the Taco Bell telestrator play. And now we're going to see, you know, Kirkheimer coming off a single double. This is how they play defense, yada, yada. All of a sudden, it's not Kirkheimer coming off a single double. It's someone dribbling the ball out of bounds.
Right.
So now I'm sitting there like with a dumb look on my face. The fans can't see it. Yeah. I'm sitting there like steam coming out of my ear because we just got done discussing this. Okay. So what I do is, I go, well, that's our idiot producer, you know, John Soren Wahlberg is somebody's name. You know, and I'll call him out. Because if you're watching it, you're saying, oh, Stacey King made that mistake. Because you think I'm actually doing the editing and I'm doing all the stuff with the telestrator because it's my telestrator, I'm doing it. Yeah. But I'm not the one. I'm just the guy who tells you where to stop and play certain things. And this is what I want to see. Now, the people in the truck are the people responsible for. That's why I always give them credit, because a lot of times when we win Emmys and stuff like that, you know, about making a call or something, it's not all about us. It's not the guys behind us make us look so good. Right. I mean, even when we're not at our best, they make us look good. That's why, like John, I always say with this guy here, like I worked with him for 8 years, and the transition that we had from the other producers that we had was like night and day. And he is a national level producer, and he's missed this day on our broadcast now. You know, everything's different now. You know, Neil's riding off in the sunset like Shane. You know, and I'm that little boy. I'm little Tommy. Little Shane, come back. You know, I'm that guy. So he's off riding off in the sunset. You know, John's in Milwaukee. You know, we've had changeover. You know, so and sometimes change is good and sometimes it's bad. You know, it just all depends on how you look at it. But he's awesome at what he does. And that's one of the reasons why he's on Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast as my producer, because he is a producer extraordinaire.
And since we're saluting John, I want to thank him as well for producing the game I did in Toronto, the first play-by-play broadcast I did. We had several conversations, traded emails. We went through everything that I wanted to talk about, had a great open plan, and you killed it. You made it great.
But so Mark, you absolutely killed it. You know that, and it's a pleasure to be the man behind the man. When stuff goes well, because
it's awesome.
You know, that's my challenge.
So next time you do a Big Ten game, tell them a broadcaster could maybe help them out.
Yeah, absolutely.
and seriously, I mean, we're giving John all this love.
Yeah.
We're showering him with flowers.
Yes.
This may be the last time that happened. Just saying. I mean, that might have lasted for the whole year, baby.
You're only good as your last button push.
That's right.
Hey, what happened to Stinger?
Well, he's still Stinger.
Oh, okay.
He's still Stinger.
You can see the Stinger too on.
Yeah, but right now we're just kind of like, we're showering John with love. Yeah. But this may be the last time it happens. I'm just being honest.
Mark the tape, episode 18.
Episode
Time to bring
18.
down the curtain. We hope you enjoyed the look behind the scenes of how live television goes on. We're loving the music. music that John has brought to the table. We want to thank our special guest, Nick Friedell.
Nick!
We love Susie's stories about her trip to Alaska.
Susie!
And we're looking forward to next week. We're planning on having Jamal Crawford, the former Bulls sharpshooter.
Jamal Crawford.
Episode 19 of Gimme the Hot Sauce.
We're moving.
Freddie Lynn. So plan for that. Stacey, take us home.
Drive home safely, Chicago. Peace.